You at this moment, but we actually have Ben Bradley on the phone. He is inside the courthouse, so stay with us and we'll come back to you in a minute. But let's go to Ben. Ben, what can you tell us?
I can tell you the jury has entered the courtroom. The judge is now talking with the jurors, asking them if they have in fact reached a verdict. Drew Peterson is seated at the defense table. He is in a gray suit. He's surrounded by an unusually large number of Will County Sheriff's deputies. Stand by for the verdict. He has been found guilty of first-degree murder. Drew Peterson has been found guilty of first-degree murder. There was a gasp in the courtroom. We cannot see if there was a reaction from Drew Peterson himself.
Ben, this is Linda. You can hear me now. There were 2 counts of first-degree murder. That was the reading on the first count. Is there a reading on the second?
Well, legally speaking, there were 2 counts. It's very technical, but for all intents and purposes, the jury is asked to only vote on whether or not Drew Peterson is guilty of first-degree murder in the death of Kathleen Savio. 1 count has to do with the manner of drowning. Another count has to do with intent. But there's only 1 vote the jury takes, and apparently after 13 hours and 52 minutes, they have reached an agreement. And that verdict is guilty for Drew Peterson.
All right, Ben, so you are not able to get a look and see what Drew Peterson's response is, or his lawyer's response?
No, this courtroom, as you can imagine, is packed on both sides of it. You have members of Kathleen Savio's family. You also have Stacy Peterson, friends and supporters, her sister, who has been here throughout this entire process. All we see as we look into the windows of a courtroom here on the 4th floor of the Will County Courthouse are the backs of sheriff's deputies. I can tell you that Drew Peterson's attorneys have told me in the hours and days leading up to this verdict that Mr. Peterson has been preparing for any eventuality.
You know, Ben, there have been so many people wondering, this is circumstantial evidence. Is it going to be enough to convict him? You said when the verdict was read, there was a gasp in the courtroom. A lot of people surprised by this.
Well, this is a long journey to justice for really both of these families. While in this case, Drew Peterson was only charged with Kathleen Savio's murder, everybody knew that this case was as much about Stacy Peterson as it is Kathleen Savio. I can tell you, while they do have the guilty verdict here, this case is by no means over for the Will County State's Attorney or Drew Peterson, because they did use such new law here, specifically the hearsay laws, dubbed Drew's Law, that is on questionable legal footing, according to many watchers. And so you can bet, and in fact, Drew Peterson's attorneys have told me that they will appeal this, not just on the grounds of whether or not the use of hearsay evidence is constitutional, but also they will appeal on the grounds of all of the errors that they say occurred during this process. This was a very contentious court case. As you know, there were a lot of times when the defense asked for mistrials and they were not granted, and there will be appeals here, and because the law was new, it was specifically drafted for Drew Peterson in this case, you better believe that there's going to be an appeal.
Ben, you say that there's going to be an appeal. There are a lot of lawyers working on this. Drew Peterson has been in jail now for 3.5 years. I believe he still gets a pension from the Bolingbrook Police Department, but as this case goes on, who's paying for all of these lawyers? It's not a matter of that he has no more money now and taxpayers have to fund this.
That's a interesting question. They have not specifically answered. We believe they're doing it for free. I want to bring in my colleague, ABC7's Diane Pappu.
Well, Ben, can we just interrupt you?
For this verdict, she's just stepped out. I'm going to hand the phone over to her.